Hi, this is Anastasia from Dream and Draw Art School, and in this lesson we'll draw beautiful autumn acorns. Let's begin. And for this lesson we need a watercolor paper, a square format, and we always draw on a textured paper side. Then of course we need a pencil, a waterproof black liner or a waterproof ballpoint pen, and eraser. I will use this one. It is an eraser from Faber-Castell, and you can use any eraser that you have at home. Then of course we need a watercolor set, 2 brushes, the bigger one and the smaller one, white gel pen, palette, napkins, and glass of water. Prepare the materials and let's begin. So let's begin with the pencil and let's draw 2 lines. The first line is a vertical line approximately in the center of our paper, and of course the second line goes here. It is a horizontal line, and again this line divides our paper approximately into 2 parts of the paper of the same size. And I'll press the pencil down hard so you will see my drawing on the video better, but you do not press the pencil that hard as I will do, because it will be harder for you to erase it afterwards. So let's begin with the ovals and lines for the acorns and leaf. So the first line I'm going to draw is this one. It is the bottom line of the acorns. So, and the first oval will be here, like this. Then the second one, I think, should be somewhere on this area. This acorn should be a bit smaller than this one, so it goes here. Great, and let's draw the lines for the stem. So this line and here the second one. And of course let's draw the lines for the leaf. So the first line goes this way and then it goes up like this. So great, and of course now let's draw the lines for the leaf to form its shape. And I will begin with this area, and I'm just going to draw the line to form the oval here and here. And now it is the time for the silhouette. So I will do the line that looks like the wavy line or something like this. So I go up, and then here we make the last lines, and then we go down, and again we repeat the same wavy line. And then we go this way and the line ends here. So great, it is a line for the leaf, and of course we have lots of veins inside, and I have one line, one central line, and what we should do, we just draw the lines that form the veins inside the leaf, like this. So great, and of course let's move on to the acorns, and here we have some kind of a hats or maybe the ovals over the acorns, and of course let's draw them like this. So I begin with this point and then I just make the same line like this one, but I make it a bit bigger, like this. So the first line, again, it looks like an oval, but a semi-circle like here, and more straight line here, but again, a bit more wavy. So great, here we have some kind of a narrow point, and I draw one more wavy line here, like this. So let's draw the hat for the second acorn, and here again I'm just making the same line here, a bit bigger than the first one, and then I go down with this line, and again I just make it a bit more wavy. So great, and then let's draw the same narrow point here. So just repeat the same thing on this acorn, like this. So great, and then of course let's draw the details for the stem. Here we have some kind of a maybe detail goes this way, and then the other parts that looks like this. Then we have a line for the leaf that connects to the stem here. I just make the double line here, and then of course the line of the second acorn connecting to the stem. So great, I really love the pencil drawing now. It is done and we are moving to the outline. And of course, I want to remind you that before making the outline with your liner or with your ballpoint pen, just make sure it is waterproof. Write something on a separate sheet of paper, then apply the wet brush and you will see is it waterproof or not. And if it is not waterproof, then make the outline after the watercolor step. So let's begin with the acorns, of course, and here I will begin with the shape of the first acorn and I want to make it a bit different. So on these points, from this area and this area, I will make the acorn a bit wider to these points. So I begin here and then I go a bit up, then I go down, and again I'm just outlining this narrow point here. And then on this area, I just make the acorn a bit wider than I have in a pencil. So just like this, a bit more wide. Okay, and of course, we need to make the hat a bit more like three-dimensional. So we are making a small semicircle here and the same thing here on this area. So just like two semi-ovals on both sides. Then of course, let's make the line here, and I try to make it a bit textured. So I make dashes, I make just lines like a zigzag motions here. So here we are with a bit separated lines. Then of course, I make the outline of this area. And I just connect these lines together like this. So great, and then let's make the line here and this one. So let's make the details like shadows on this area. So I just make this line a bit darker and this one align the same way. So let's move on to the second acorn and the same thing here. So we make the line here. And of course, then the acorn itself. So the same thing here. Then the bottom line as well. So great, and of course the leaf. So we have one more detail here that connects the leaf to the stem, and now we can make the outline of the leaf. So I'm just repeating actually the same line, but you can make it a bit different. So it's okay if you have some kind of a different leaf. So we go here and we connect all the lines here. So, and of course the veins. So let's begin with this line and here. So let's make the other veins as well. And I try not to press the liner down hard, so you see the lines are really slightly visible, like this. So great, and of course I want to add a bit of a texture on acorns and on the leaf. So the first thing we should do is to add a texture on the hats of the acorns. And what we are doing now is we are making some kind of a dashes, dots, and lines, short lines on this area and of course on this area as well. So I'm just adding the lines, short lines, to make a shadow and to form a bit of a texture here. So great, and of course the same thing for the second one. I'm making the lines, short lines, dashes, dots, and the same thing here. So great, and I want to add a bit of a texture on the leaf. I will do it in a different way. So I'm just adding some lines here. I make them a bit darker, like this, but not the whole line, just the part of it, here and here. So when we have some kind of a wave like this, we add a bit of a line that is darker here, and I think 2 more lines maybe on this area, maybe here, and on this point as well. So great, I think that the outline is done, and now I'm taking the eraser. I will use this one. It is a kneadable eraser from Faber-Castell, and if you don't have exactly this one, it's okay. You can use any other eraser like this one, for example. Just apply really carefully in order not to damage the watercolor paper. And of course, let's erase all the pencil. And of course, now we are on the watercolor step, and the first thing we need to do is to add some water on the palette, and of course we need to add some water on each color that we are going to use. So actually I'm adding the water on each pan. So if we add water, it will be easy for us to pick the color. And if we add water on the palette, it will be easy for us to mix the colors. So the first thing we should do, of course, is the leaf. And I want to make it really autumn-like, with autumn mood, autumn colors. So I will use, of course, the yellow, orange, brown color, ochre color. So let's prepare the colors. And the first one is yellow. Mine yellow looks like a cadmium yellow or something, and actually you can use any yellow color, any orange color, any red that you have in your watercolor set. So the first color, then I think I want to use the orange. Mine orange looks like this. And of course the red. So again, it is just a regular red color, like cadmium red. And of course, I will add a bit of the brown to make some shadows. So I have the brown that is called burnt umber. And I want to add 2 splashes of green. So I will use this one, and you can use any green that you have as well. So let's begin with the yellow color, and we need to mix the yellowish orange color like this one. It should be really light. And what we are doing, we're just covering the part of the leaf here. Then of course you can add a bit more of the yellow color, or maybe a bit more of the red color as well if you want to. So just play with the colors, add the color that you like. If you want to make it a bit more of yellow, then use more yellow. If you want to make it a bit more of the red, just use more red. So here again I make the yellow colors. And I think I want to add a bit more of the orange. as well. So I'm just picking the orange and I just add it on this way. Then I pick the brown and I think on this area I want to add a bit more of the yellow again. And maybe a bit of the green. So actually you can add green with the tapping motions like this. So you see how beautiful colors are. So again, I add a bit of a green here in this area and maybe a bit of the red. And I think that's enough. So 2 more lines here. If you have extra water or extra paint here on your paper, just make the thing. So just wash your brush, use your napkin and collect the extra water, the extra paint from your paper like this. Okay, so we need to wait while our leaf is drying, and now I'm just picking the smaller brush and I will make the hats of the acorns, and I will do them with orange and brown and a bit maybe with the yellow. So I will begin with this one and I just make the tapping motions like this, and I'm coloring the area, leaving some white paper, a bit, not too much. Then again, I pick the orange color and I just add some orange color with the tapping motions like this. So again, then we go to this area to the right side and it is the time for the brown. So I pick the brown color and add it on this area. So this part is a shadow part. That's why we need to make it darker. So we use the brown for this, like this. And of course we need to add a bit of the brown to this area as well. So great, and the same thing for the second one. So let's begin with the orangey yellow color. Well, it should be light, and then of course we'll add some brown for the shadow. So great, and now let's mix the colors for the acorns, and I will use more of the red color. So we mix red with the brown, and the first color is like this, so it is like a yellowish, well, orangey brown with the red shades. And of course we need to mix the orange color as well and the dark color for shadows. So the dark color will be mixed with the ultramarine, so it is the blue color that looks like this, and with the brown. So we mix the ultramarine and the brown on the palette, and we get some kind of a, well, dark brown color like this one for the shadows. So let's begin with the orangey color, and I will begin with this one, with this acorn, and I'm doing the lines here in the shape of an acorn, and I'm leaving some white areas here. Then of course I'm picking the color, the darker color that we have, and of course the brown for the darker parts as well. So great. And a bit of the yellow. So of course it is the yellow mixed with the brown a bit. And here we go down. And we mix all these colors like this. Then I use the yellow color again, mix it a bit with the orange that I have, and I'm just adding this color on this area. Sometimes I'm mixing the colors so they are really nice here. They are mixing by themselves. And now it is the time to pick the dark color, this one, and we need to add the dark color on this area, on the bottom side of the acorn, and of course under the hat, like this. So I think that's enough, and it is the time for the second one. So I will use the same colors. I will begin with the color like a light brown, maybe a bit with the yellow, well, maybe like this one. And of course then I'm going to add a bit of the orangey red, maybe brown a bit, and then the dark color like this. And of course, I will leave some white lines for the highlights. So now I'm just adding the dark color for the shadows. It is the mixture of brown and blue ultramarine color that we have prepared before, like this. So great, I think we should wait a bit, and I will start with the smaller brush for now, and I'm just picking the random color that I have on my palette. Actually it looks like the ochre, maybe just, well, brownish yellowish color. And of course let's do the stem. So I will begin with this one. We have the stem here as well, one line here, then of course the line for the leaf, then here, and one more line on this area. And of course I try to leave some white line here on the left top side. So now it is the time for the hats to be more like three-dimensional. So again, I'm just mixing a bit of the blue color plus brown, just like this. Again, the same dark color, and I'm just adding a bit on this area, again with the tapping motions. And then I'm cleaning my brush with the water using a napkin, and only with a wet brush I'm just making again the tapping motions, but these strokes, they are really making a nice and beautiful transition here. So the strokes are softer with this technique. And the same thing for the second one. So I start with the dark color here and here as well. Then again, I just clean my brush with water, use a napkin, and only with the tapping motions like this, we make the strokes look more natural, like this. So great, and now let's add some lines on the leaf, and I want to add it with the maybe orange and yellow color. So I mix the orange and I just add some orangey color on the leaf, and maybe yellow as well on some areas. And then I just clean my brush and make a beautiful transition, only with a wet brush. And then of course we can use the dark brown to make a shadows. And then again, I just wash my brush and I make the beautiful transitions like this. And then again, I want to add a bit more of the red color as well. Then I clean my brush and again I just make a beautiful transition. And again, so it is the perfect technique for the leaves when we are making a beautiful smooth transitions only with a wet brush. So now it is the time for the shadows under the acorns. And of course I will do it with the same mixture, but I'm going to add a bit more of the blue color. So I'm mixing again the blue color and the brown, and we get some kind of a cold gray, like this. And I will just add the lines here with a bigger brush to form a beautiful shadow like this. Then we go down and we add the shadow on this acorn as well. So now I just clean my brush, use the napkin, and the same thing. I will just make a beautiful transition only with a wet brush like this. So use your brush, add some water if you want to. If you want to add beautiful watercolor transitions, just don't be afraid. Feel free to play with water and with the color. And add the colors that you like. Add some water and you will see the magic of the watercolor. You see how the color spreads. So great, I want to add a bit more of the blue color here. I'm just picking the ultramarine and I add the darker color right under the acorns. So great, now it is the time to wait until our sketch is completely dry, and then we are moving on to the details. So great, my sketch is completely dry and I'm picking the white gel pen. And of course, you can use white gouache or white acrylic paint if you don't have the white gel pen like I will use. So, and of course, the first thing we are doing is we are making the highlights on the leaf. And here on the edges, I'm making the line like this. I need to make it not like the contour line, but I'm making it on the areas where we are making the contrast look like this. So we have the dark line, and of course near to the dark line I'm adding the white line like this. So the line here, and I want to make the vein a bit more contrasty, so I'm just making the line here near to the dark line that I have. And if you have too much of the white gel pen, you can just collect the extra pigment with your finger like this. And of course, I want to make these lines a bit more contrasty as well. So I'm just adding the line, the white line, next to the black line that we have made before. And of course, if you want to make some more details, you can add some dots, lines for the extra texture like this. So great, and of course let's move on to the acorns, and here I'm adding the dots and dashes here on these parts of the hats. Some dots can be bigger and some dots can be smaller. So we need to make the highlighted area here, and I'm just adding a bit of the reflections on this area as well, but not too much. And the same thing here. So I'm just adding light dots and maybe one more line even here and a line here. So great, and of course let's add the highlights on the acorns itself. So I'm starting with this one. I just add one more line and maybe two more lines here. So if you don't have the white lines here left in a paper, you can do the white lines with your white gel pen. And of course we need to make the dot here and here as well. And then we go up with a simple line, and of course one line to form a reflection here, and the same on the second one like this. So great, and now let's take the black liner and let's add some details. And of course I'm adding the shadows here on the semi-ovals. So I'm just covering them with the black liner here and here. So great, and of course let's add the line here at the bottom of the hat, again to make it more contrasty and more interesting, like this. Then we can add some texture on the stem like lines, and of course here two more lines. And now let's add the lines on the acorns to form a beautiful shapes, and I will do with the hatches like this, and I want to make it really quick in quick motions, so try not to make them too dark. Let's just add some hatches like this, and of course the same thing on the second one. One more dot here, dark dot, and the hatches. They are again a bit maybe semi-oval like to show the shape of the acorn. So great, and I want to outline the form of the acorn. I want to make it a bit darker here and here as well. So great, I think we should add a bit more of the texture on the acorns, like dots, dashes, but not too much again. So just I want to make them look like a natural thing. Maybe 2 more hatches on this area and on this one. And of course, I want to make some texture on the leaf as well. So great, and now it is the time for the last thing. What we should do, we should put a signature. Of course, I will put the signature here on this area. And our sketch is ready. You've done great! In my basic paid sketching course, which I'll tell you about in the final lesson of this free course, you'll learn to draw various objects, textures, and much more. See you in the next lessons!